Hey guys, what's up? So I'm back with another tier list video as my Final Fantasy tier list one was popular. So this one is ranking my favorite characters from Final Fantasy VII. Just Final Fantasy VII. With that being said, let's get started here. Let's see. Start with my favorite. Yeah, I've kind of said before, I've stated before that Tifa is one of my favorite game characters. Like, not only does she have her own role in the story, she also is a love interest done correctly for Cloud in that case, and I'm assuming by you watching this, I'm assuming you've already played Final Fantasy VII, but Final Fantasy VII, like Tifa, she is that one woman that would be with Cloud for the rest of her life. Like if she were to commit to in sickness and in health, for better or for worse kind of relationship, in marriage, I believe she would commit to that for sure. But anyway, moving on. I'm also gonna put Cloud at S tier. I mean, a lot of people say Cloud is like kind of emo, but not really. He's not emo. I mean, people kind of get that from Advent Children, which it's not really true per se. Like, I mean, like in the original game, he wasn't like that in the original game. Like, at first, he starts off with like this sort of macho man, strong personality who had very few emotions, but actually Cloud is way more complicated than that. I mean, that's why Cloud's one of my favorite characters in the entire series. He's in my opinion one of the most well-written characters. Like, he puts up a strong front, but in reality he's you know, he gets insecure too, and he has emotions himself. He's not exactly stoic like he pretends to be or acts like he is, but anyway, moving on. And by the way, I don't have a script, so I'm kind of like say whatever comes to mind, and then Vincent. Vincent, I have him in S tier because his story is interesting and I love his character design too. It's like that red and black color combination. Like, red and black is my favorite color combination. And yeah, while he may have a depressing backstory, it's interesting, but it is depressing. And even though he's an optional character, he is actually important to the game's plot. Like, I hope in the later episodes of the remake, they actually make him a mandatory character, not optional. But anyway, so moving on, I'm gonna sort of pick someone here. Yuffie, I'm gonna put in D tier. Like, I mean, because even though Final Fantasy VII is my favorite game of all time, and as much as these three are my favorites, there's always, you know, someone that does not really resonate with me all that much, and Yuffie's one of them, because she is like, materia, I want that materia, which, if I met someone like that, that would get really annoying, like, fast. But anyway, and then moving on, who else? Let's see. Okay, let's kind of go. Alright, and Sephiroth I'm going to put at A tier. Why not S tier? Well, it's simple. I like these other three. I like these three characters more, but Sephiroth, he is deserving of S tier. And while I may prefer Cloud, I'm thinking Sephiroth is the guy I'm gonna main in Smash Brothers now that he's out. Even though I prefer Cloud as a character, but Anyway, you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna put him in S tier. I mean, Sephiroth is a pretty cool character. Like, I mean, I like how he was once a hero turned villain. I like how he's that kind of character, and also it's, of course, One Winged Angel is awesome. I mean, like, I know some of you would say Kefka is better than Sephiroth, but I mean, so yeah, that's about all I could say about Sephiroth at the top of my head anyway, and then I don't see Zack Fair anywhere. If I had to play Zack, I'm gonna pretend Zack is here and put him in A tier. So Zack, I mean, when I played Crisis Core, I mean, I'm glad they gave him his own game, because Zack is kind of this whole very minor character where, like, he was sort of just appeared a couple of times. You don't really get to know him too well, but his dedicated game, Crisis Core, makes that ending where he dies, like, more emotional. And while I will, yeah, and I will say though, yeah, I said in my review of Crisis Core, like, I'm trying to think, what did I say in my review? He doesn't look down upon others. In fact, he kind of encourages people of a lower rank than them. I mean, he's the kind of guy that would want other people to succeed. He wanted Cloud to succeed, so I'm moving on. Ketchi, yeah, I'm gonna put Ketchi in D tier, because, I mean, I remember when I first played this game, whenever I first saw that he was a character that you play as, like, whenever he first joined my party, and I was like, really? It wasn't as exciting as when, like, you know, Tifa or any of the more human characters joining your party, but I may not care for Ketchi. In fact, he's kind of the person I would least likely use, but I do like the guy behind Ketchi, Reeve. Like, Reeve I would put in, like, probably B tier somewhere. Like, if he was down here, I'd put him there somewhere. Like, because Reeve, like, you have, like, Heidegger, Palmer, and Scarlet. They're kind of like, you know, I'm gonna say, like, Reeve is like the good guy who's on the opposing side, because he's kind of, you know, on the, yeah, Reeve is kind of more of a, Reeve has, like, traits of a good guy, though, unlike the, you know, Heidegger, who would be kind of a crappy boss to work under. And then Scarlet, well, she's a kind of a, well, dominatrix in the non-pleasurable sense. But anyway, moving on, let's see. Who else do we got? And I don't know what kind of fan base Song has, but honestly, I don't really have much to say about him. Like in Before Crisis, he worked under Veld, and then he became leader of the Turks. That's all I could say about him. That's plain, it's indifference on my end. Actually, you know, I'll go ahead and move him up to C tier, because this is kind of, Yeah, this would be like the characters I'm kind of indifferent to, and this is like the characters that I'm like. Okay, so moving on, let's see. Red 13. What can I say? Animals are pretty cool. Dogs are pretty cool, even though Red 13 is not really a dog per se. Now that I think about it, what kind of animal is Red 13? He kind of seems more like a lion. He's like a cat dog breed. I can't really think of it, but like I do like how Red 13 is like the one with like wisdom. Like I find him to be kind of like I really like the Cosmo Canyon remix and Smash Brothers, and yeah, this is the guy who's, yeah, I put Red 13 up here because he's like the guy that's like the wise one of the group, and he's like he's the one that knows about the world and whatnot as well. So moving on, Reno, I'm gonna put an A tier. I regret what I said about Rude and Reno when I said like they were the comic relief characters, but that's only the case of like Advent Children, and Crisis Core they did not get much screen time, and then the Turks, like Central game before Crisis, I mean before Crisis surrounded only one Turk, and that was Shotgun, and it seemed like Reno and Rude were like were kind of like side characters, but so I didn't feel like I got to know Reno or Rude that much, and even before Crisis. But the reason why Reno's A tier though is because he's a guy that takes his job seriously, but when he's off work, he's really chill. Like, he's got a really cool laid-back personality, but he does take his job seriously when he's on duty, so it's like, watch out. And let's see, what's next? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's see, Reeve would be number 8. Let's see. See who's gonna go next. I may like Reno a whole lot, but Rude, I'm kind of... I don't have a lot to say about Rude, though, very much. Like, he's a fighter like Tifa, of the quiet personality, but... yeah, I don't have much to say about Rude, if I'm being honest. So, it's like, he also follows Reno, and... yeah, that's really all I could say about him, unfortunately. And then, like... Biggs, Wedge, and Jesse would be down here, but... thanks to the remake, though, the remake changed everything, and I'm putting Biggs up in B tier. I mean, thanks to Chapter 4 and, like, the first chapter of a game, I had a feeling I was going to care about Biggs, Wedge, and Jesse in the remake, and I sure enough did. And, like, and man, with the plate crashing in the remake, it was emotional indeed. And I'm going to put Wedge in B tier for that same reason as well. And he's also Wedge. I like cats, and he's also a cat person as well. So is Tifa. I mean, in Remake Part 2, when they go over that incident, I better see Tifa's cat. Because, and before Crisis, Tifa had a cat. I better see that cat. And then, chocobo. What can I say? Chocobos are cool. They were real, I'd ride one. And let's see. Hojo. I did not have an opinion of this guy. Like, he'd be down here, but then I played Dirge of Cerberus, and that's when it occurred to me that he's like the real bad guy of the story. Like he's always overshadowed by Sephiroth. Like, Sephiroth is always considered the main villain, but like Hojo, I mean, like, he would be down here due to me not having an opinion on him, nor anything to say, but since he's actually a character that I hate in a good way, I'm putting him in B tier. This doesn't mean I like the guy. I mean, in fact, he's notorious. He's a notorious person. It's the fact that it's the fact that I dislike him in a good way that he's B tier. Like, so basically, he's a scientist. He goes wherever science goes. Like, even before Crisis, there was a moment where he was willing to leave Shinra for the sake of science. He's not exactly loyal to a company. He just wants to go where science goes. And then he was also, like, he's the real bad guy of the story. Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure Sephiroth... Yeah, Sephiroth is who he is because of this guy. Like Hojo experimented on Lucrezia's child, which is Sephiroth. And then Vincent's also having trouble forgiving this guy as well. I mean, yeah, yeah, you would hate this person because he was doing experiments that should not be experimented on. So and let's see, lots of B tier characters here. I mean, Rufus Shinra. I mean, for the longest time I didn't really have an opinion on him either, but I will say he is kind of cool though. I mean, and before Crisis though, he had this motivation to overthrow his father, and the boss fight in the remake was pretty cool too. I really like how his new move, how he like pulls out, flips some coins, shoots a gun at him, and it creates this laser thing. I mean, I never really thought of him too much as a character personally, but anyway, moving on. And if it worked for the remake, I'd put Jesse down here, but I'm putting Jesse in A tier. The one character that's probably supposedly dead. I mean, I got really emotional when this character died. I mean, the fact that she also ended up being another love interest for Cloud, but again, she also had her own role in the story, and she also experiences character development in Chapter 4, and too bad she left owing Cloud a pizza, but yeah, Jesse moved up to like the number 9 or 10 spot in my top 10 favorite characters. Then Elena, I mean, I like her better than these two, but because she also has, yeah, I don't really have much of an opinion on Elena, to be honest. Like, I mean, though I do think it's kind of funny in that Big Boss's music video of the song Angel that even though the game Elena has a crush on Song, like, she had a crush on Sephiroth, like, at the beginning of that song. Thought that was kind of funny, but yeah, let's see. Barret. Yeah, I would say Barret is like C tier capable, but I'm gonna put him in B. I mean, like after leaving Midgar shortly, I forget he's there most of the time. Like I rarely use him in the original game, but the remake, however, he does have a more prominent appearance because he was like important throughout the entirety of that game. But like, I like how he's like this rough, aggressive guy, but also has a soft heart. He has a kid named Marlene, and he's a good guy. It's just in the original game, I don't use him very much. And then I'm gonna go with Cid Highwind. Okay, lots of B tier characters, but Cid I don't use either, but I mean, he's like my favorite Cid in the entire Final Fantasy franchise. I mean, he just stands out that much to me. And he also strikes me as a redneck of the group, where only he lives in a small town, doesn't necessarily work on a farm, he doesn't necessarily plant some crops. Here, sit down and drink some. Here, sit your butt down and drink some dadgum tea. And I'll tell you about Cid Highwind. I mean, he does strike me as somebody who'd live out in Texas. Probably listen to some country music. And well, he is the sort of guy that like falls asleep in meetings. And he's rough with other people. I mean, he's pretty hostile to his wife, but he also cares about him too. I tell you what. And lastly, we have Aerith. Aerith never clicked with me, but I'm gonna go ahead and put her in A tier, because like if she were in my top 10 favorite characters, Final Fantasy VII, I mean, she would be like 9 or 10, but I find it to be, I do like her more than the rest of these characters though, so Aerith, I mean, I know her death scene is famous, and well, I didn't really cry to it, to be honest, only to that song, and I'm probably not going to cry to her death in their remake, because, well, she didn't really click with me all that much. But I think what puts her over here is she does have a fun personality. For those that like cute girls, she is cute. Even though, you guys know I'm more of a Tifa person, but yeah, Aerith doesn't really do a whole lot for me, but anyway, that's it for this tier list. If you liked the video, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. With that being said, y'all have a blessed day and take care.